to have you with us as we visit with Congressman Dr. Joe Heck from the 3rd Congressional District, my congressional district, by way of disclosure. Good to have you here.
Always good to be back, Alan.
You're watching on Ion Vegas on Vegas TV, and also you're listening live on News Talk 720, KDWN. Now, if you're watching on TV, sit back and relax. If you're listening live on News Talk 720, KDWN, and you want to join in, 257-KDWN, 257-5396, your chance to talk to Congressman Dr. Joe Heck. Just to let you know, to be fair about everything, as I with all these candidates, I did try to get double-dipping John Osagura on, and I didn't call him that when I tried to get him on, but now that he's not coming on, I'll call him anything I want. But he won't come on the show. He won't talk about, won't answer your questions. You don't mean anything to him. You don't matter. This guy is out for himself. So he won't come on and talk. He won't join us either in a debate situation or in an individual situation. So we have our sitting congressman here who deserves re-election, and I can't be any clearer about that. Good to have you here.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, isn't it fair? I mean, if you want people to vote for you, shouldn't you be out there talking to the people?
Well, that's what we've done ever since the first election cycle and through the time that we've served, and certainly during this election cycle. The whole thing is about being accessible to constituents and letting them know what we're doing on their behalf and where we are on the issues. And if you've got nothing to hide, you should be out in the public square.
One of the biggest things that bothers me about Osagura, like does with Dina Titus, why does she still have that accent after all these years? Anyway, but the thing that bothers me about these folks is that they go to the legislature, whether it's, in Osagura's case, it was a state legislature just like it was Dina Titus, and they vote bennies back to themselves. I mean, whether it's a teacher or a firefighter, I don't care what you are. And I respect teachers and I respect firefighters, but I don't respect people who say, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to vote myself a raise or vote more money into my group so they can give me a raise. I mean, that's dishonest.
Yeah, that's a debate that's raged on even when I was in the state Senate and before, is whether or not there needs to be a clearer separation of powers, with the idea that folks who work in one governmental branch, when they're not in the legislature, in this case in the executive branch as, let's say, a teacher, whether or not they should be able to serve in the legislative branch as an assemblyman or state senator. And unfortunately, that's never been decided. And it does raise concern. When I was in the state Senate, you would see folks bring in bills that would go back to help either the agency or themselves in what they did in their day job when they weren't serving in Carson City. And it should cause concern for every taxpayer. I
want to give you a chance, as I did with, I had Dean Heller in recently, and I gave him the same chance to respond to some of these ads. Ironically, the ad that is being run against you is almost identical to the ad being run against Dean Heller. I mean, you've seen them on TV, almost identical, and put out by the same people. I'm talking about the same company putting it out, same organization, using different actors in the roles, but they're saying almost the same words. You are in one case, I think one of them has to do with you don't want to allow women to be tested for cervical cancer or breast cancer. You just want to take that away. They shouldn't be able to do that. Now, you're a doctor, and I have a hunch that that's probably not the case.
Well, even more so than being a doctor. I mean, I have a wife and I have 2 daughters. And so women's health care, is an issue. For me, it's an issue in my family. And as an emergency department physician who's taken care of tens of thousands of women over the last 20 years, many times when these women are in their most dire need, I think it's disappointing that they would go down the path of saying Joe Heck doesn't support women's health care, and they go back to an isolated vote in 2007 while I was in the state Senate on the HPV vaccine, and they take it out of proportion and say I voted against a cancer vaccine. Well, unfortunately, we don't have a cancer vaccine in this country, so they distort the vote because, as is clear with my opponent, if you don't have a record to run on, the goal is to get people to run away from the person you're running against, and that's what they're trying to do.
Now, that vaccine is not a cancer vaccine, you said?
No, it's not a cancer vaccine. It's a vaccine against a virus, and that virus may cause cervical cancer, but it's not a cancer vaccine. It's a vaccine against the virus.
Okay, so and also we should clear up the whole issue about Planned Parenthood too, because I know you're not a big fan of them. Neither am I, by the way. Planned Parenthood has been caught with their pants down, actually telling people, and they have this on video, by the way, and you've seen it and I've seen it, that they actually telling people, listen, if you are going to have a little girl and you don't want a girl, they pull a China. And they say, we'll get you an abortion just to get rid of the little girl so you can have a little boy. Again, you've seen these YouTube videos.
Right. Look, the issue with Planned Parenthood is that, they provide two service lines. And the one service line is actually is an important service line. That service line that provides critical health care services and screenings to men and women. That's important stuff for a lot of people within our community. But then the other service line is their abortion service line. And federal law doesn't allow taxpayer dollars to be used for abortions. And so what they've been told, Planned Parenthood has been told, look, you've got to be able to show you're in compliance with the law and that there's a firewall between those two service lines. And if that's the case, then you can get the money that goes to health screening, which is important to the community. Now, here in Southern Nevada, they've actually figured out a way to do that. They have a totally separate facility where they do the medical stuff. And so there's a clear distinction between the two things, and there's no commingling of money. Unfortunately, that's not the model nationwide. And so federal law says no taxpayer dollars with the exception of rape, incest, or life of the mother. And so if Planned Parenthood wants to get federal dollars to provide those health services, then they've got to show that they're in compliance with the law, which they have not been able to do.
Congressman Dr. Joe Heck joining me. He is the congressman from the 3rd Congressional District, my congressional district. And you are watching on Eye in Vegas on Vegas TV. You're also listening on News Talk 720, KDWN. If you want to join in on the conversation here on KDWN, 257 KDWN, 257-5396. We'll continue our discussion with Dr. Joe Heck in just a moment and take some of your calls as well. I'm Alan Stock.
It's time for traffic with Mitch Kelly in the KDWN One Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center.
This updated 745 brought to you by Binion's Gambling Hall. It's very rough this morning, both sides of US 95, especially on the southbound side where a multi-vehicle accident at Las Vegas Boulevard continues to be cleared. Still have a couple of vehicles left on the left-hand side, but the damage is done with delays back to the Rainbow Curve. You still have 195 southbound at Charleston as well, but that's now firmly off on the left shoulder and along your blocking lanes. 95 northbound is slow from the Charleston Curve to a wreck at Las Vegas Boulevard. 15 southbound, the normal delay, Cheyenne to Lake Mead, then the 95 to Charleston. Along the Southern Beltway eastbound side, seeing some slowing between I-15 and the airport connector. Same story along 215 west from Eastern to Warm Springs. New West Side Surface Street crashes, Cheyenne east to Buffalo and
Hi, Jerry Doyle here. Why would you trust your valuables to just anyone? Las Vegas Jewelry and Coin Buyers pays top dollar for gold, silver, diamonds, jewelry, watches, and coins. They're family-owned with over 100 years of experience. You just can't beat that. Why would you go anywhere else? Call 547-1670. They're located at 1405 West Sunset Road in Henderson. Call 547-1670 or visit them on the web at topvegasbuyer.com.
At the Harding Law Firm, we don't believe in catchy tunes or slogans. We'd rather get your attention with results. Case closed. Harding Law Firm, 333-7777.
Alan Stock.
I look back at Vincent Price, The Tingler, I saw as a kid. I mean, that had me on the edge of my seat, almost covering my eyes. It was so, what's going to happen? And dead people rising up and stuff like that. And, you know, even without blood and guts, you had that sense of doom and dread. And that, to me, was what the excitement was in seeing horror movies.
You asked for it, you got it. More Alan Stock. Now on weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
So your dogs have to go for a walk. No problem. Walk the dogs and listen to this station. Download the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store and listen on your iPhone, iTouch, or iPad. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Speaking of the doctor, you can listen to this station at the doctor's office. Just download the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store and listen on your iPhone, iTouch, or iPad.
Alan Stock knows compelling talk.
He wanted to keep the Bush tax cuts in place for everybody, and Obama's the one who said, no, I won't do that. I'd rather have taxes go up on everybody if we can't just have taxes go up on the rich. This is your guy, your president, Barack Obama, that wants to raise taxes on everyone if he can't get his way. If I can't have my way, I'm taking my toys and I'm leaving.
Alan Stock. Weekdays 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on News Talk 720 KDWN.
This is the sound of a flat-screen television hurled off a building. Now the new bike your kid wants. These are the things you could have all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Use Energy Star light bulbs and appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Medical Minute on
Alan Stock.
One of the best scenes in a movie for horror and chills and thrills is when Martin Balsam is walking up the stairs in Psycho going to see Mother. And the music, the creepy music is playing, and the camera is going in and out from the top of the stairs. You feel the tension. You feel the dread that's about to occur. That, to me, is what horror films should be all about.
More Alan Stock. Now on weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
KDWN offer a place for seniors to call their very own. Visit SMALV.com for more information.
Back to the Alan Stock Show in 30 seconds.
Martin Garage Doors. We fix them, you save.
This Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m., we're going to be discussing with small banks their importance in the community and for the nation at large. Right here on News Talk 720 KDWN, Wednesdays 9 to 10.
Great to have you with us as we visit with Congressman Dr. Joe Heck, who's done a heck of a job as congressman for the 3rd Congressional District, by the way. A terrific job. Not only he has, but he's put together a great staff. And I have been in his district office, not far from where I live, and I'm amazed. The people, he's got a full staff, and every time I'm in there, everyone's on the telephone. I mean, working, talking to constantly the people in the district. I'm not talking about like the movers and shakers of the district. I'm talking about, just citizens calling on, listen, I got a problem. What can you do to help me? And, boy, people walk away satisfied. And I've said this before. I've in my career in doing this for nearly 30 years, I've worked with people, Democrats as well as Republicans, who have a great staff. And I salute the staff of those people when I say it. Even the Democrats, I've tried to be fair about it. And your staff, you put together an absolutely great staff, which I think reflects well on you.
Well, I appreciate that. I agree. I think I have the best staff in all of Congress. And, there's nothing that's more satisfying as the representative is that when you're out on the street or at an event and somebody walks up to you and says, I called your office and I spoke to whomever and they helped me. I was just out at the Sun City Summerlin Candidates Fair last week. A gentleman walked up to the table and he said, we met 2 weeks ago, and I told you about my problem, and you said, call your office and ask for Brian, and he'll take care of me. And I called your office the next day. I spoke to Brian, and a week later, my problem was solved. I just want to say thanks. And that's what makes the job doable. It's seeing those folks and the smile on their face and realizing that we've been able to help them with an issue that they've been struggling with because they just didn't know how to navigate the system or they didn't know who to call or what to do. And you have somebody who's able to get it cleared up in a week. I've had people actually say to me about your office. They've told me this independently also. So just to let you know, it's not just me blowing smoke here. All right. You're watching an Eye in Vegas and Vegas TV. And if you're listening on News Talk 720 KDWN, you can join in by calling 257 KDWN 257-5396. John, you are on with Dr. Joe Heck.
Good morning, man.
Good morning, John.
Hey, Doctor, I'm a proud liberal Democrat, and
we know.
I can't believe these words are going to come out of my mouth, but I think I'm going to vote for you because of your opponent. I just can't see voting for a fireman who makes $450,000 a year. So I have some acid test questions, though, and I've seen one is Medicare, and I've seen your commercial on Medicare, and it's I forget the exact language, but it says you won't touch it or something. I just want to make sure that you're not interested in converting Medicare to a voucher system, and you'll leave it as it is.
Well, certainly, John, look, the goal is we're going to keep it as it is for people at least 55 or older. Folks that are on it or close to being on it, but we can't make changes to a program that somebody's going to rely on at that point in their life. But, the trustees of the Medicare system have said Medicare is not going to be able to pay benefits in 2024. So if we want it to be there for me, for my kids, for my grandkids, we're going to have to make some changes. And it's not a voucher program. We're going to say, look, if you want traditional Medicare, you can have it just as it is today. But We're going to give options for seniors, for future seniors, to be able to pick a program that might be better for them, like a Medicare Advantage plan that provides advanced coverages like vision, hearing, dental. So we're going to make sure for 55 or older, there's no changes. For those 54 or younger, we're going to have to make some changes to make sure that it's there for them when they hit 65.
What's important about what you're saying, and I want John to hear this and everyone else to hear this, is, and this is something that Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan have been saying over and over and over and over again. There is no intention by the Republican Party in any way, shape, or form, or anybody running on the Republican platform, as far as I know, to get rid of Medicare at all, period, end of story. But you do plan to make an offering of people who are under 55 to either have traditional Medicare as it is, or you can go to a so-called voucher system if you choose. But those choices are yours, and if you choose to stay with the traditional Medicare and you're under 55, you will be able to do that.
Right, and again, it's not a voucher. It's not like you're going to get something in the mail that says, here's your voucher, go buy a policy. But it's going to be the opportunity.
My concern is this: we just heard a presidential debate where, Mitt Romney considers self-deportation a choice for immigrants.
It is. It is a choice.
Underneath that is layered. We're going to make it so difficult for those illegal immigrants that they're going to want to leave. And I'm hearing vouchers, and I'm still hearing, if you're under 55, you're not going to have Medicare, which is great and which our parents enjoy.
Well,
yeah,
but
it's a lie, though.
But that's not true, John. It's not true. If you're under 50, Medicare will continue to exist. The program will exist. It will exist in a different form for those that are maybe 54 or younger, where you would have the choice of what's today traditional Medicare, or an option of getting a policy that provides you coverages that might be better for you. But if you want to stay...
What about this, Joe? I mean, the argument is that, you'll peg a price to Medicare, and then you'll increase it yearly, say, at the consumer price. At inflation, it'll go up equal to the rate of inflation, but everybody knows that medical costs go up far greater than the rate of inflation.
Did you know that Medicare is going up now? Did you know that Medicare is going up now every year, too? I mean, I'm looking into it, so I know it's going up every year. I mean, the costs are going up now. I mean, forget Republicans. What's been going on under the Democrats? It's been going up.
No, John, you're right. But the thing, and that's part of the problem, is that whether it's the Obamacare law or anything else, nothing has really looked at how do we bring down the rising costs of health care. And that's where we need to get to in this discussion, because whether it's Medicare or whether it's a private insurance plan for people that are 30 years old, premiums are going to go up because of the cost of healthcare going up. And if we really want to address the issue, you got to get to the root cause, which is the spiraling cost of healthcare. And that's where I want to take the discussion, because until we solve that issue, we're going to see continuing elevated costs for everybody, in no matter what insurance program they're in.
Let me add one thing, just because you brought it up, John, and that is, and this is from me, I can let the doctor respond on his own, but regarding self-deportation, these folks who are here illegally, the illegal aliens, came here on their own volition. They self-imported. And so if we do not provide benefits to them as illegal aliens, they may choose to self-deport. In Mexico, if you're coming in from Guatemala illegally, they're not going to give you benefits as a Mexican citizen. Nor do I think we should be giving benefits to people who are illegal aliens here. Now, I would go along with emergency medical care, because I'm not a heel. And if somebody is really dying or very, very sick, you treat them so they don't die. But to give them all the benefits, I'm talking about food stamps. I'm talking about a choice education. I'm going to bring this up in a little bit about getting a choice education in states that are not even giving it to our military veterans, by the way. It's happening in North Carolina right now. These kinds of things are reprehensible. And these are the things that I don't understand. These are the things that Mitt Romney's talking about, and I hope these are the things that Dr. Joe Heck is talking about as well. I've got to run, but I appreciate your call, John.
Can I just say, John, go through our website and shoot me your phone number. I'll be happy to give you a call. We can have a more in-depth discussion on this and any other questions you might have.
I've got his number, actually.
You have John's?
Yep.
All right. Well, Alan will give me your number, and I'll touch base with you, and we can continue the discussion offline.
Is that okay, John?
That sounds great.
Excellent. John, always good hearing from you. I appreciate you joining us this morning. John calls almost every day, and, he is of the other side. But he's one of the reasonable people on the other side. And he likes to have a debate and a discussion, and I actually like the guy because He likes the debate.
Well, and he's well-informed.
He's well-informed, and he wants to become more well-informed. Dr. Joe Heck is joining me. He is here. Of course, he represents the 3rd Congressional District. You are watching on Eye in Vegas and Vegas TV, listening on News Talk 720 KDWN. If you want to join in, 257-KDWN, 257-5396. We're going to continue more of our discussion with Dr. Joe Heck, including your calls, in just a little while. I'm Alan Stock.
Watts of news and talk. News Talk 720 KDWN, Las Vegas, the dawn of today's talk radio.
KDWN News Time, 8 o'clock. For 20 years, Brian Alo and Associates have helped Las Vegas locals stop harassing phone calls, protect against foreclosure, and file Chapter 7 and 13 bankruptcy. If you're in trouble, call 259-0002. Good morning. I'm John Schaefer with this hour's top stories. The seasonal hiring season just around the corner. Retailers in Nevada say they expect to add more than 4,000 seasonal jobs this year. Last year, 4,100 seasonal retail jobs were added. A pedestrian was hit and killed while crossing West Flamingo near South Jones. Police say car hit the pedestrian shortly before 8:30 last night, then fled the scene. The driver, however, did return and has been charged with DUI and hit and run. The pedestrian was not in a marked crosswalk. Nye County Sheriff's detectives say DNA evidence has linked an 81-year-old registered sex offender to the car belonging to a Pahrump woman who's been missing for more than 6 years. Maureen Fields was reported missing after she failed to show up for work in February 2006. Her vehicle was found the next day in Inyo County, California. Keith Holmes was recently arrested in California on a sex crime, so his DNA is in the system. They were just finally able to match it up. He has not been arrested in the missing persons case. Anti-terror agents say they've thwarted a man who was going to blow up the New York Federal Reserve Bank with a dummy bomb provided by the FBI.
New York Police Commissioner Ray Kelly says the bomb, allegedly assembled by a 21-year-old Bangladeshi man to blow up the Federal Reserve Bank, was never lethal. But he adds it's a little facile to dismiss the accused bomber as unsophisticated.
I don't know how you characterize unsophisticated. He was arrested, but he clearly had the intent of creating mayhem here.
Kelly says Qazi Nafis was inspired by Al-Qaeda to attack a U.S. financial target. Police say he was arrested as he attempted to set off the bogus bomb with a detonator operated by a cell phone. Warren Levinson, New York.
Confidential files kept by the Boy Scouts of America on men they suspected of child sex abuse set to be released today. The 20,000 pages of documents cover 20 years from 1965 to 1985. During that time, Matt Stewart says he was one of the victims.
I was molested every month of every year from the age of 6 all the way through the age of 18.
The court-ordered release has prompted the Boy Scouts to pledge they will go back into their so-called perversion files and report any offenders who may have not been reported to police when the alleged abuse took place. Vice President Joe Biden is continuing a 2-day visit to Nevada with an appearance at a Democratic rally in Las Vegas today. Campaign officials say Biden plans to talk at the Culinary Academy of Las Vegas about the middle class, the economy, and the choice between President Obama and Republican challenger Mitt Romney. On Wall Street, the Dow's down 8 points. News brought to you by the Associated Press. The Associated Press delivers its award-winning news and photos free to your mobile device. Search AP Mobile in iTunes, Android, or visit getapmobile.com. AP Mobile, where the news gets its news. It's 8:02. Here's Mitch Kelly with the latest from the KDWN One Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center.
This update brought to you by 99 Cents Only Stores. 99 Cents Only Stores is your Halloween headquarters with sweet savings on Halloween candy. Get large bags of Smarties candy rolls, Tootsie Rolls, and Charms Blow Pops for only 99.99 cents each. You'd be crazy to buy your Halloween candy anywhere else. Stay off 95 southbound with a slowdown start around Summerlin Parkway. Continue all the way down to an accident 95 southbound approaching Las Vegas Boulevard. Also along the way is a crash 95 southbound at Valley View, but it's this one at Las Vegas Boulevard that's been causing the huge delays. It started out as a 4-car crash. Still have 2 vehicles left off on the left shoulder. In fact, checking it now, it looks like we are down to just 1 car remaining. But still, the backups remain back to Summerlin Parkway on 95 southbound. 95 north is slow from Charleston to a wreck at Las Vegas Boulevard that's off on the right side. 15 southbound slammed on and off from Cheyenne past Charleston. 215 east is tight from the 15 to the airport connector. Same along 215 west, eastern to Warm Springs. New injury accident in North Las Vegas, Cheyenne at Simmons. From the KDWN One Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, it's Mitch Kelly on News Talk 720 KDWN.
The KDWN forecast, sunny, 84 the high today, clear, 61 overnight.
with the Harding Law Firm. If you've been injured, you won't just get money. You'll get even. Case closed. Harding Law Firm, 333-7777. SamHarding.com.
Doing chores around the house doesn't have to be so bad. Just download the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store and listen to this station on your iPhone, iTouch, or iPad. You can invest in a fancy sound system, or you can just use your iPhone.
I thought I told you to turn that thing off!
Listen to this station on your iPhone. Download the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store now.
Ask the Expert Hour, only on News Talk 720 KDWN.
The parent that's giving up the child can be as involved as they want. They can have open adoption agreements. They could be a completely closed and private adoption.
Do you want to explain what that means, the difference between open and closed, man?
More live talk than any other station in Vegas. Got a question? Ask the experts. Weekdays from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN. On the air, on the web, and now on your Android.
Doing chores around the house doesn't have to be so bad. Just download the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store and listen to this station on your iPhone, iTouch, or iPad. Can't find the wet tunes? No problem. Just put your iPhone on the counter and turn it up. Listen to this station while you shower with the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store. Download it today and get clean tomorrow.
Alan Stock.
And meanwhile, back at the ranch at the U.S., military intelligence officials say they don't believe Iran's leadership has made the decision to build the bomb. Oh, that's what we're saying. They're saying that, well, the country is moving closer to the ability to do so. They may be doing the research, but they haven't made the decision about whether or not to actually build it. It's not straight talk.
Compelling talk. Alan Stock. Weekdays 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on News Talk 720 KDWN.
So your dogs have to go for a walk. No problem. Walk the dogs and listen to this station. Download the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store and listen on your iPhone, iTouch, or iPad. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Speaking of the doctor, you can listen to this station at the doctor's office. Just download the iRadio Now app from the iTunes Store and listen on your iPhone, iTouch, or iPad.
Very slow now, all of a sudden. 15 southbound coming out.
If you're trying to get from here to there, we're right here to help. The KDWN One Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center will help you get where you're going. With traffic updates 4 times an hour, you've got a lot to do, and you need to get there on time. That's why we have more traffic reports than any other radio station. News, traffic, and weather for Vegas. News Talk 720 KDWN.
Hey, Billy, want to go to the state fair?
Yeah!
Well, you can't.
Huh?
Well, you see, Billy, when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have done with it. But now your parents are becoming energy efficient. They could save hundreds of dollars a year and take you to the fair next year.
I want to go now.
I know you do. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
1670. They're located at 1405 West Sunset Road in Henderson. Call 547-1670, 547-1670, or visit them on the web at topvegasbuyer.com, topvegasbuyer.com.
And now, live from beautiful and exciting Las Vegas, one of the most influential talk show hosts in America, radio icon Alan Stock.
Great to have you with us as we visit with Dr. Joe Heck, congressman from the 3rd Congressional District. You're watching on Eye in Vegas here on Vegas TV and listening on News Talk 720 KDWN. If you want to join in here on KDWN, 257 KDWN, 257-5396. I know there are people holding to talk to you right now, and I promise I will get them on, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least ask you what you thought about the debates that have been occurring. All 3 debates. 2 Democrats so far, and 1 presidential, and 1 vice presidential debate where all the Democrats were given more time than the Republicans in every one of the debates. Absolutely true.
Yeah. No, I think certainly in the first presidential debate, Governor Romney came out the clear winner, as everybody has stated. In the vice presidential debate, I think it was virtually a tie. I think, Joe Biden did what he needed to do, which was to try to energize his base, and Paul Ryan did what he needed to do, which was try to persuade those folks that are the independent or undecided voters that there's substance to him and to the ticket. And I think he was very effective in doing that. But I think overall that debate came out even. The second presidential debate that just occurred, likewise, I think it was pretty much a tie. I think that Governor Romney was doing well in the first half, and then I think President Obama came on stronger in the second half. I do think that it was unfortunate that Candy Crowley decided to do a spontaneous fact check on the president's Rose Garden speech, which, in fact, she was wrong on.
Correct.
But I think, she needed to – I think it's tough being a moderator, and she was trying to take that tact of, trying to – direct and lead the participants as opposed to becoming engaged in the debate. Here locally, Mitch Fox always does a great job on Vegas PBS of keeping, his position as the moderator clear. And I think that maybe next time Mitch Fox should be one of the moderators for one of the presidential debates.
Well, what bothered me very much was the fact that you had Jim Lehr, you had, I forget, Raditz, what was her name?
Right.
Martha Raditz. You had Candy Crowley, and now you've got Bob Schieffer from CBS. They're all liberals. Why don't they go to someone like Shep Smith or Chris Wallace from Fox News Channel to at least moderate one of those debates?
Well, I don't know who was making the decisions on where the debates were held, too, but, I used to live in Long Island. And, to decide to hold a presidential debate in Nassau County, you're going into the lion's den as a Republican. And so, you got to wonder, a lot of those folks who theoretically were undecided voters who were standing up to ask questions, it didn't sound like they were undecided when they asked the question.
No, it didn't. And matter of fact, one woman addressed Governor Romney, and she got up there, and Candy Crowley says, so-and-so, you want to address the question? And she stood up and she says, all right, Romney. That's how she addressed him, Romney. Not governor or mister. It was just Romney. And I thought, you're rude. You're rude and crude. And that's what I thought when I heard that.
But then Lorraine, the woman Lorraine who asked the question actually called him President Romney. So, I think it was interesting. It was an interesting debate.
An interesting debate. I can tell you that the Candy Crowley chose someone to say to Mitt Romney, what's the difference between you and George W. Bush? No one got up there with a question that said, President Obama, what's the difference between you and Jimmy Carter, who was a one-term president? I mean, no, that didn't happen. It was a very biased debate, and you know what else I didn't like? I didn't like the fact that that in both the vice presidential debate and the last presidential debate, in order for Obama to make himself stand out, they both interrupted the other people. It was 80 some odd times that Biden interrupted Paul Ryan, and it was 28 times I think they counted that Obama interrupted Romney. And I don't know whether they think this is going to endear themselves to the public, but you know what? I'd like them to shut up and show a little bit of courtesy to their debating partner. I mean, that's all I'm asking for. So radical. 257 KDWN 257 5396. Let's head on over to Al. You're on with Dr. Joe Heck.
Yeah, Obama said he would never appoint a lobbyist. Well, why did he appoint a lobbyist, a big lobbyist for Monsanto's GMO foods? Now, to health care, and it's been known that this GMO foods, children 7 and 8 years old have been getting diseases. It's been known only to people in their 70s and 80s. Can't this person be taken out of their office as appointed to?
Well, Al, of course, the president has the authority to appoint whomever he wants to the offices, and unless it's a position that winds up running through Senate confirmation, there is no opportunity for Congress to weigh in on his selections. And as you mentioned, the president has said he wouldn't appoint lobbyists. So the president has said he would do an awful lot of things and wouldn't do an awful lot of things, and he hasn't delivered on many of those. So, unfortunately, unless it's a position that's run through Senate confirmation, there's no opportunity to impact on those selections.
And there's a lot of people into natural health care and, natural medicine, alternative medicine stuff. When they find out about this, him appointing this individual for GMO foods that's caused health, they don't want to vote for him.
Well, that may be the case. Al, I appreciate your call. I want to thank you so much for joining us. You're listening to Dr. Joe Heck on News Talk 720 KDWN. You're watching him and I in Vegas on Vegas TV. And I know that there are a lot of people who do want to talk to you, and we're going to get to those calls in just a few moments. Stand by. Dr. Joe Heck coming up next. I'm Alan Stock.
It's time for traffic with Mitch Kelly in the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center.
And this update at 8:15 brought to you by 99 Cents Only Stores. 99 Cents Only Stores is your Halloween headquarters with sweet savings on Halloween candy. Get large bags of Smarties candy rolls, Tootsie Rolls, and Charms Blow Pops for only 99.99 cents each. You'd be crazy to buy your Halloween candy anywhere else. Newest freeway wreck is at the Spaghetti Bowl 15 southbound just past US 95. Drivers struggling approaching that crash, and then on the brakes hard past Charleston on 15 southbound. 95 south, that accident at Las Vegas Boulevard has finally been cleared away, but damage is done with backups to the Rainbow Curve. You also have an accident over that stretch 95 southbound in the area around Decatur, but that's off on the right shoulder. Hopefully with the next update at 8:30, we'll be talking about improving conditions on 95 southbound, but it's been a mess all morning. 95 northbound slowdowns continue to be seen from Charleston up to Las Vegas Boulevard. Got a crash there that's off on the right shoulder. Drivers still on the brakes on 215 eastbound between 15 and the airport connector. The problem there, that airport connector off-ramp down to a single lane will be at least through the end of the year. Injury accidents in North Las Vegas. Got a pair of those. Cheyenne at Simmons and Gowan at Simmons. West side wreck, Cheyenne east of Buffalo. Rainbow north of Sahara. East side Bonanza west of Eastern. And Lake Mead west of Lamb. From the KDWN One Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Mitch Kelly on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Are you tired of fighting with your water? Dry skin and hair, dingy laundry, unpleasant tastes and odors, stained sinks and fixtures? Well, right now is the time to do something about your water. You know, I wanted to make sure that we had the best water when we moved here over 13 years ago. So what did I do? I checked around to see who was the best. Connecticut was the best. And so I called them. And you know what? My clothes are brighter. I see no more hard water stains in the water. It's the best I've ever tasted. Can you imagine having people come home to your home and asking for a second glass of water just because it's delicious tasting? The amazing thing is, by the way, we haven't had any service calls to fix our system. Now, the experts at Connecticut Water Systems really know their stuff, and they can customize a solution that's right for your home and for your family. The Connecticut Water Systems are completely different. They require no electricity, there are no customer adjustments, and they don't use a ton of salt. Connecticut Water Systems also features the longest manufacturer's warranty, and it's designed to last 30 years plus. Now, your local independent authorized Connecticut dealer wants to make it as easy as possible for you to try clean conditioned water in your home by
What if you could buy your house at today's prices? What if we could short sell your house and delete it from your credit forever? Would you keep paying on a house worth half of what you owe? I'm attorney Jamie Cogburn. You know what you need to do. Stop the stress and stop sacrificing your family's financial future. If you need help, call us today. At Cogburn Law Offices, we can short sell your home and delete it from your credit so you can make a fresh start. Call 384-3616. 384-3616.
Michael Savage here. Don't trust your valuables to just anyone. Las Vegas Jewelry and Coin Buyers pays top dollar for gold, silver, diamonds, jewelry, watches, and coins. They're family-owned with over 100 years of experience. You just can't beat that. Why go anywhere else? Call 547-1670, 547-1670. They're located at 1405 West Sunset Road in Henderson. Call 547-1670, 547-1670, or visit them on the web at topvegasbuyer.com, topvegasbuyer.com.
Alan Stock.
Oh, you own a gun? Is there a gun in your house? Oh, I don't know if I want to come to your house if there's a gun. I've had people say that to me. I'm going, what are you, nuts?
I had somebody ask me, well, why would you want to kill somebody? And my response is, I don't want to. But I don't want anybody killing me or my family either.
That's exactly what it comes down to. You know, having a firearm on you, having a CCW is like life insurance. You never want to have to use it.
Your voice is heard. Alan Stock. Weekdays 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on News Talk 720 KDWN.
One divorce after another. Closed signs everywhere. We could use some help bouncing back. Thankfully, there is help. Call the Oil Spill Distress Helpline, 800-985-5990. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
No matter what kind of smartphone you've got, iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Nokia, Samsung. Tune in with music, sports, news, and comedy from over 70,000 stations around the world, including KDWN. KDWN is now available in more places than ever. Streaming live at KDWN.com, on your iPhone or Android with the iRadio Now app, and the TuneIn app available on any smartphone or tablet. More info at KDWN.com. You can take News Talk 720 KDWN with you anywhere.
When you've been wronged, the last thing you need is to add insult to injury. You need someone to take off the gloves and fight to the finish. With the Harding Law Firm, if you've been injured, you won't just get money. You'll get even. Case closed. Harding Law Firm. Experienced counsel is just a phone call away. 333-7777. SamHarding.com.
Brian A. Lowe asked me a question. He said, "Who do you need to take care of?" And right then, I realized that it was the most important question that anyone had ever asked me. If I'm not around, my children will still need an education, my parents will still need long-term care sometime down the road, and my wife, well, I got to take care of her. I need to get that set up now. So let me ask you, who do you need to take care of? Call Brian A. Lowe and Associates, 259-0002.
In the Box with Garth Baker brings you hot topics and politics.
Or Android device. Learn more at onenevada.org or call 457-1000. One Nevada Credit Union. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Great to have you with us as we visit with Dr. Joe Heck, Congressman from the 3rd Congressional District. You're watching an Eye in Vegas and Vegas TV, listening on News Talk 720, KDWN. Appreciate the fact you've taken time to come on by here.
My pleasure.
Too bad your opponent never showed the same courtesy. 257 KDWN 257-5396. My two biggest beefs, I guess, is the fact that he never responded. But the other one is that he is one of the double dippers. And to me, that is really, and I think that he wouldn't have wanted to face that kind of a question. You know, what about double dipping?
Mm-hmm.
Well, other people do it too. Okay, so if other people like lemmings jump off the cliff, is that what you're going to do also? I mean, you know, just because other people rob banks, is that what you're going to do too? I mean, you know, it doesn't make sense.
No, it would be a great opportunity for him to answer that question to the public.
But he won't do it, and he won't answer your questions. 257 KDWN 257-5396. Adam, you're on with Dr. Joe Heck.
Hi.
Hello, Adam. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I want to chime in on Medicare.
Yeah.
Every time I hear Republicans defend Medicare, it gets kind of cringe.
Cringe.
My question is, why do you defend something that takes the fruits of my labor by force and gives it to the government to do as they see fit? That is
a fellow objectivist. You're an objectivist. You like Ayn Rand, don't you?
It's not the Republican way.
Well, what it's doing is
every time he defends.
Wait, let him finish. My fellow objectivist, let him finish his answer.
Well, what it does is it takes roughly 1.45% out of your payroll tax and puts it away so that you have health care when you hit the age of, I'm assuming you'll probably be full age at 65 at the current program. And so, that it was the idea of making sure that seniors have access to health care when they need it most. And so I would agree that, if you don't want to have that security and you want to keep that 1.45% in your payroll, then maybe there should be the opportunity to say, I don't want to participate in Medicare when I'm 65. But that's the system that was put into place in the mid-'60s to ensure that seniors have access to health care when they need it most.
All right. By the way, Adam, have you seen Atlas Shrugged 2?
No, I have not.
You got to go.
I heard the first one was really bad, but
the first one was great, and the second one was even better. So I recommend. You've read Ayn Rand, right?
Of course.
Of course, I can tell by your question. Appreciate your call, Adam. Thank you very, very much. I can tell an Ayn Rand person out there, And by the way, Atlas Shrugged 2, great movie, and it stands by itself too. It's the second part of the book. Great, great, great movie, and addresses the issue of, about government versus individual reliability. Absolutely the case. Juanita, you are on with Dr. Joe Heck. Welcome. Juanita?
Hello?
Hi, Juanita.
Hello.
Yes,
Go right
good
ahead.
morning, Colonel Heck.
Good morning.
I just have one question for you. My husband and I would love to hear this answer, and after I ask you, I'll hang up,
Okay.
and we'll listen to it on the air. Why haven't we ever heard the word tort reform with this Obamacare?
Well, that's probably because
Thank you for your call.
the law was written by a bunch of lawyers. Look, one of the issues, as I mentioned to one of the earlier callers, we have to get around the idea of bringing down the cost of health care. One of the ways to do that is to allow those with real malpractice claims to have their day in court, but get rid of frivolous lawsuits because it drives up the cost of health care, especially in the practice of defensive medicine. And there was two very small pieces regarding tort reform within the health care law, neither of which would actually do anything to implement tort reform. And it's not just in health care. We need tort reform across the spectrum in industry and business to help bring down costs across the board. And I think while we still have so many lawyers making up Congress, that it'll be difficult to move that idea forward.
The president, who is a lawyer also, by the way, said that the reason that there were no Republican points in the Obamacare is because they didn't present anything that made any sense. But number one, Republicans did recommend being able to buy health insurance across state lines like we buy automobile insurance right now, as an example. He said, well, how would that help people with pre-existing conditions? Well, if you can buy across state lines and have insurance companies create pools of people who have pre-existing conditions, while they may pay more than someone who does not have a pre-existing condition, you can still, by creating those pools and buying across state lines, bring those costs down. You understand what I mean?
No, yeah, sure. And that claim that the Republicans had no ideas was totally false. In fact, Representative Tom Price, who happens to be a physician from Georgia, had a bill that was drafted by physicians that had common sense, patient-centered healthcare reforms that would provide stability and security for people with insurance, an option for people without, and start to bring down the cost of health care. Right. That bill under the Democratic-controlled Congress never saw the light of day, never had a hearing. There were no amendments allowed on the floor when they had the debate on the health care reform law. It was a closed process. They locked everybody out from the other side of the aisle, and that's why they had to do things to buy votes to get the Democratic votes that they needed to pass the bill.
Amazing stuff, just amazing. I know there are more calls, but I've got to ask this also. And I know the biggest issue in the campaign, we all know, has been the economy. Are you doing better today than you were 4 years ago? We ask people on a regular basis, and most people say no, in one way or the other. Cost of gas now $4 a gallon, and which means goods have gone up, and other food and clothing, all that's gone up. But another issue we've got to just address briefly is that it's Benghazi Gate. And that is a situation where the president says, on one hand, I did call it an act of terror. Candy Crowley backs him up, his lie, and then she lies on top of that to cover up his lie. And, I went to some of our sales staff who are more liberal, and they thought that he said that also. I offered them $1,000 on the spot if they could show me where he said the day after that it was an act of terror, a terrorist attack on us. They highlighted other things. They could never show me that, though. This guy never said it was an act of terror. He went on the 25th of September. He went to the United Nations 6 times, talked about this video this, a video that. We're not going to tolerate this videos type stuff. Went on The View. Joy Behar said it was an act of terror, Mr. President. And Mr. Eye Candy sat there saying to her, well, we can't say we don't know right now. I mean, it's an absolute lie that they had said it was an act of terror. They tried to play up the fact. Jay Carney, Ambassador Rice, all of them played up the fact that it was all because of this horrible video, and we're not going to stand for this.
Look, the issue was mishandled terribly. And I think the most important thing is that we have to keep our eye on the bigger picture, which is 4 American public servants lost their lives, including our ambassador, including one person who lives in District 3 who actually lived about 3 miles from my house. And that's the issue that needed to be addressed most urgently, and it needed to be addressed very carefully because we don't want to do anything that would denigrate their service or sully their memory for the loss of these 4 public servants. The issue is in the president's address in the Rose Garden, he refers to the incident at least 4 times as an attack, just as the word attack, not a terrorist attack, but as an attack. He then uses the phrase act of terror in a generic sense, not related to this specific incident. And then in that same paragraph, he closes by saying he calls it, I believe it was, an unfortunate incident. So you can connect the dots yourself. The debate was shifting back and forth. Just recently, Secretary of State Clinton says she accepts responsibility. I'm glad somebody within the administration is accepting responsibility, but I didn't realize that the buck stops at the Department of State. I believe it stops at the White House. Now, the president tried to, step up to the plate during the debate, saying that, he was the commander in chief. But let's face it, there was just a hearing in Congress last week on this issue where it was clear that there were requests for increased security made for the Benghazi consulate, which were turned down by the administration.
Congressman Dr. Joe Heck has been joining us to talk about the issues. You have a choice between a congressman who I think is doing a great job or a double dipper who won't even come on to answer your questions. Congressman, thank you for being here. I appreciate it very much. You've been watching Dr. Joe Heck on Eye in Vegas and Vegas TV and listening on News Talk 7.